Hey, what's up everyone? GameDad here, coming at you guys with a brand new compilation video, and this time we are taking a look at the Nintendo 3DS collection series that I did. Now before we get started, if you are new to the channel or you just haven't yet, please be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons down below, as well as that little notification bell so that you get an alert every time I got a new video coming out. Now let's go ahead and dive into the video. Adventure Time: Explore the Dungeon Because I Don't Know was released by WayForward Technologies in 2013, and the game is just as ridiculous as the title. It's just your typical kind of like generic style 3DS game. Really nothing to write home about. It loosely follows adventures that are happening in Adventure Time, but overall, I mean, it's just a really basic game. I got it for, I think, like 50 cents. The Amazing Spiderman was released by Beenox in 2012, and honestly, this is probably one of the worst Spider-Man games I've played. It's very, like, timed events and stuff like that, and it really was not fun. It is definitely no PS4 Spider-Man. Up next, we got Cave Story 3D, released by Nicholas in 2011, and this game, it's a really good game. I played through the original with its bit art style, and then I played through this one, and the gameplay is the same between both of them. It's still the same story, still the same fun game, but honestly, I think adding a 3D effect to it makes the game worse. It wasn't as aesthetically pleasing as the bit art style, in my opinion. And up next, we got Chibi Robos Ziplash, released by Skip Ltd. in 2015. And it's a fun little 2.5D platformer. You're going around as this little tiny robot that has to keep plugging in the things to get new powers or supercharged or make different things in the level work. So there is a bit of a puzzle platformer aspect to it. But overall, the game is really fun. As you can see, the graphics are pretty nice on cinematics and stuff. The gameplay graphics aren't really anywhere near as good, but it's still a fun game. Here we have Codename Steam, released by Intelligent Systems in 2015, and I was pretty hyped for this game whenever it first came out because the graphics looked awesome, and it looked like a super fun action game, but it's actually a style of game that I really don't care for, and that's kind of like that XCOM style where you're moving around on a grid. Here we have Detective Pikachu, released by the Pokemon Company in 2018, and this one was a big letdown for me. There was a ton of hype around this game. They came out with the giant Detective Pikachu amiibo and all kinds of stuff, and of course they ended up making a movie. Still haven't seen the movie, but I heard it was pretty good. But this game is the most simplistic, basic game that I have ever played, and it is not fun. It's actually really boring. Up next is Hey Pikmin, released by Azrest in 2017, and I am a huge fan of the Pikmin games. They've always been a ton of fun, whether it was on GameCube, Wii U, any of those. They were super fun games, so I was really stoked when it came out on 3DS. It's definitely a different style game on the 3DS. They take it from a full open world and full 3D and everything to make it a 2.5D platformer, but the game still has all the same kind of puzzles and all the same action you would expect. Up next is Hyrule Warriors Legends, released by Koei Tecmo Games in 2016, and this was a follow-up to the Wii U launch of Hyrule Warriors. Super fun game. I'm not a huge fan of like Dynasty Warrior kind of games, but when they put a Zelda skin on it, it was a lot more fun in my opinion. So this took all the DLC and all the different characters and put it all onto the 3DS, so lots of fun. Up next is Kid Icarus Uprising, released by Project Sora in 2012, and this was the first Kid Icarus game in a really long time. I still remember playing the original one on the NES, and it was super fun. A lot of the sounds could be obnoxious, but this game took it and just thrusted it into the 3D world. It's pretty fun. A lot of it is like an on-rail shooter, but, you know, overall, it's not a bad Kid Icarus game. And here we have Kirby Planet Robobot, released by HAL Laboratory in 2016, and I gotta say, this game is a blast. It is so much fun. Think any fun Kirby game, and then add mech suits, and that's what this game is. So it's classic Kirby platforming action, and you're going through, you know, defeat the baddie, all that kind of stuff, but then you get giant robot mech suits to play as well. Super fun. And here is Kirby Triple Deluxe, released by HAL Laboratory in 2014. And this was my first 3DS Kirby game. Super, super fun. It kind of followed along with like Wii U art styles, sort of. Not really Epic Yarn or anything like that, but It followed along with the same kind of virtual aesthetic, so it looks just as good as one of the console ones. Not really any kind of jagged edges or anything like that, but overall, just a fantastic Kirby game to play. Here we have Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, released by Next Level Games in 2013, and this was a continuation of the Luigi's Mansion franchise from previous generations. Now, they did release the original Luigi's Mansion on 3DS as well. I don't really care for it that much on being on 3DS, but this one, it was the only iteration that we got. And I gotta say, it was still pretty fun. Graphically, it's okay, but it was still just a fun Luigi story. Up next is Mario and Luigi Dream Team, released by Alpha Dream in 2013. Now, I did have a lot of fun playing this in the beginning. I ended up putting like, I don't know, 30 hours into the game, and I thought I had finally gotten to the end and was super excited, and found out that was just the halfway point of the game. This game is insanely long, like way more than it actually needs to be to get the same story across. So, it's okay. Up next is Mario and Luigi Paper Jam, released by Alpha Dream in 2016, and this was like a Mario and Luigi tag team of a Paper Mario game. It was okay, but I'd much rather just play a Paper Mario game, honestly. I don't really know why they had to cross these two worlds together, but the outcome was just kind of mediocre. Last up for these is Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga plus Bowser's Minions, released by Alpha Dream in 2017. And this is the original Superstar Saga game that kind of kicked off this whole franchise, but then they go back and they add a quote-unquote DLC to it, and that's Bowser's Minions. Overall, the game is super fun, and obviously it sold well in the beginning because they ended up creating an entire franchise out of it. And here we have Mario Kart 7, released by Nintendo in 2011, and this game's fantastic. It was the first time they actually added gliders and stuff like that, which ended up being in pretty much every subsequent Mario game, and they really fine-tuned the drifting and then added the extra turbo boost to the drifting. So, super fantastic Mario Kart game, and lots of customization options as well. Up next is Mario Party Star Rush, released by ND Cube in 2016. Now, I'm a pretty big fan of the Mario Party games, especially earlier ones in the franchise, not necessarily the older ones, but I don't know what it is. Playing them on a handheld just isn't really the same. It's not as fun to me because you don't have a big group of people with you. Sure, you can do like local play and stuff like that, but overall, I don't know, it's just okay. Now here's a good one. That is the Mega Man Legacy Collection, released by Digital Eclipse Software in 2016. And I don't know why they have the Rockman cover art instead of the actual Mega Man cover art, but it's super fun. It's all of those original like NES Mega Man games that you can take on the go, and I'm a huge Mega Man fan, so it was awesome to be able to have this for a handheld that I can just play anytime I want on the go. Last up for this video is Metroid Samus Returns, released by Mercury Steam in 2017, and this is a remake of the original Samus game, and graphically looks much better. Obviously, it's had a huge jump in technological time, but overall, it's the same great game with a lot of new added creature comforts, so I really liked it. Alright, so first up we have Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, released by Capcom in 2015, and if you have ever played a Monster Hunter game, this is pretty much the same thing, just on a handheld. And I gotta say, it is actually quite impressive just being on a 3DS handheld. The system has always displayed good graphics and stuff, but for a game of this caliber and this scope, it was really cool to see this actually be possible. Up next, we've got New Super Mario Bros. 2, released by Nintendo in 2012, and this one has nothing to do with the actual Super Mario Bros. 2 or anything like that, but it is a fun platformer. If you liked New Super Mario Bros., it is essentially the same thing, except this game's whole shtick is that it's got way more coins in it, as evident by the cover art on the game. Overall, it's fun. It's just another Mario game. And here we have Paper Mario Sticker Star, released by Intelligent Systems in 2012. And this game, if you like Paper Mario games, it is a lot of fun in my opinion, actually. It is very long for the kind of game that it is, but overall, I actually had a lot of fun with it. It's very collect-a-thon-y, so I don't know if you're like super into completing games and stuff, you might have fun doing that, but overall, just playing through the story was actually a lot of fun. Up next, we got Pokemon X, released by Game Freak in 2013, and this was kind of the first full-fledged 3D Pokemon game. Yes, still on a handheld, and we wouldn't see a console one for years to come with Sword and Shield, but this game, it was actually pretty fun. I had a buddy who had Y, and we were able to play through and almost complete our Pokedexes. We kind of got bored with it towards the end, but overall, it's just another fun Pokemon adventure. Here is Pokemon Alpha Sapphire, released by Game Freak in 2014. And this game was kind of a reimagining of the original Pokemon Sapphire game on the Game Boy Advance. And I gotta say, it was actually pretty fun. I did enjoy playing through it. I do kind of like the new versions that they make of these games, you know, when they had like Fire Red and stuff like that. So it was fun to be able to see this kind of remade for 3DS instead. Now here we have Pokemon Sun, released by Game Freak in 2016, and I believe this was the first one where they actually had Mega Evolutions. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure it started with this generation. Overall, pretty fun. I didn't like everything that they did. It felt like they kind of really simplified a lot of things and took away from the JRPG aspect of the games that I actually enjoyed. And the new region Pokemon looked a little weird, but overall, just another fun game in the franchise. And here we have Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon, released by Spike Chunsoft in 2015. And this is one of the games where you actually go through and play as the Pokemon instead. There were a few versions of this before the 3DS version, but I never actually got around to playing those. This was the first one of these that I played, and I liked it so much I went back and bought the old ones and had a blast. I really like this kind of offshoot of the Pokemon franchise. Now here we have Poochie and Yoshi's Woolly World, released by Goodfeel in 2017, and I gotta say, this game is super fun. I love the wool aesthetic that they had with this. Now, I remember playing Yoshi's Woolly World before, but I gotta say, the version with Poochie is way more fun. It adds a lot of extra stuff to the game, and just makes the gameplay just more enjoyable, in my opinion. Up next is Super Mario 3D Land, released by Nintendo in 2011, and I gotta say, this is probably my favorite handheld Mario game that there is. I mean, I really like Mario Land 2 Six Golden Coins on the Game Boy, but this one is just awesome. It had so much extra functionality, extra features, and it was like just a blast to play with all the new power-ups, level design, everything. And here we have Super Mario Maker for the Nintendo 3DS, and this was released by Nintendo in 2016. Now, unfortunately, I was not able to capture any gameplay for this, but it's a really fun game. And if you ever played Mario Maker on the Wii U, or if you've now played it on the Switch, it is the same concept. I think it's a little easier with the stylus and stuff like that than they made it on the Switch, but I do still enjoy this, and it's fun to take it on the go. Here we have Super Smash Bros. For Nintendo 3DS. This was released by Sora Ltd. in 2014. And, I mean, what can I say? It's Smash Bros. On the go. And before the Nintendo Switch, this was the only way you could play Smash Bros. On the go. And it was pretty cool because it still had all of the amiibo support that it had on the Wii U. It obviously doesn't have the roster that the Switch ended up having, but still, it was really awesome to have Smash on the go. Here we have Tetris Axis, released by Hudson Soft in 2011. And this was actually a pack-in with my 3DS or 3DS XL, I don't know, one of the original games that I had for the console. I mean, I like Tetris. I prefer the old original one better. But this one, I mean, it was okay. It added a couple new features and stuff, but overall, it's still just Tetris. Here is Ultimate NES Remix, released by Indies Zero in 2014, and this is awesome. If you've ever liked just specific aspects of different NES games, this is totally for you. They did release a version on the Wii U as well, and they had all kinds of competitions and stuff like that, but essentially you go through some mini games and you just play different challenges. Here we have WarioWare Gold, released by Nintendo in 2018, and this is, if you've ever played a WarioWare game, essentially it's a bunch of micro games. You can't even call them mini games. I mean, they literally last for just a few seconds each, but it's super addicting and a ton of fun. This particular one has over 300 different little micro games in it. Now here's another one I was not able to capture footage for. That is Xenoblade Chronicles 3D, released by Monolith Soft in 2015. And this is a remake slash reimagining of Xenoblade Chronicles from the Wii. So excellent game, fantastic gameplay. As you can see from the cover on it, it is only for the Nintendo 3DS, the new one. That was the one that came with a stylus because I believe it had some upgraded memory or something in it. But super fun game. Here we have Yoshi's New Island, released by Arzest in 2014. And if you ever played Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island, then you know exactly what this gameplay is all about. It's very like chalk drawing in its aesthetic, super fun gameplay, and always making sure that Baby Mario is safe and good to go. Collect all your flowers, collect your stars, and just have a blast rocking out as Yoshi. Now, this is probably my favorite handheld Zelda of all time. That is Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds, released by Nintendo in 2013. And I love this game. It's fantastic. It's set in the vein of Link to the Past. And if you have never played this game, I highly, highly recommend that you do so. Here we have Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time 3D, released by Nintendo in 2011. Another fantastic Zelda game ported over to the 3DS. It did add some 3D effects. It was cool in the beginning, got to admit, turned it off partway through because it just started to get obnoxious. But the game overall is still the same fun Ocarina of Time that you played on the N64. Here we have Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask 3D, released by Nintendo in 2015. Again, another awesome port from the N64 days, and I didn't mention it with Ocarina of Time, but I'll mention it here. The inventory system, being able to switch back and forth super easy with all your items because of the second screen, makes Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask 3D way more fun to play on this handheld than on the original N64, at least in my opinion. And last up, we have Legend of Zelda Triforce Heroes, released by Nintendo in 2015. And this is basically a dungeon crawler, or kind of just like puzzle Zelda game. You go through, you have 3 different characters. They are all the different colors, as you can see from the cover art. And you're going through solving puzzles and different things. And you use these 3 different characters to make it happen. And if more than one person has a game, then they can hop in and join in all the puzzles too. So there you have it, everyone. That was everything that was in my 2-part series for the Nintendo 3DS. Now, as I said at the beginning of the video, if you are new here or you just haven't yet, please be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons, as well as that little notification bell so that you get an alert every time I got a new video coming out. Now, as always, I'm GameDad. I thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you later.